week, catching 10 for 116 yards on the day. But Derek Carr was a stellar 29 of 32 passing for 288 yards and a score. He's the first player in NFL history to have a completion of 90% in a game. That's something to say right there. After John Gruden called him out for the way he played week 1 against the LA Rams. Well, anyway, it's 19-7 going into the third quarter. Then McManus gets a 39-yard field goal, and Case Keenum gets a 1-yard touchdown keeper on fourth down with about 5:58 left in the game to bring it to 19-17. Raiders still not able to do anything whatsoever. The ball gets back to the Broncos. No timeouts left. 18 seconds to go. Case Keenum hits Tim Patrick for a 26-yard gain to the Oakland 18. Even with Gary Conley and Leon Hall, they couldn't tackle him in bounds. He was able to go on an out route, setting up the game-winning 36-yard field goal just inside the right uprights with 6 seconds left. Broncos beat the Raiders 20-19. In the final game of the week, Indianapolis Colts head to Washington to take on the Redskins. Luck had a abysmal 179 yards, intercepted twice on the day, had a touchdown pass of the 25th consecutive game. It's the longest active streak in the NFL currently. And yet in the beginning, engineers a 13-play, 75-yard drive where he's 7 of 8 for 62 yards, culminating in a touchdown to T.Y. Hilton that puts them up 21-9 early in the fourth quarter, and they still end up winning 21-9. The reason why they were able to stifle the Redskins, keeping them 5 of 15 on third down on the day. Hopkins, the only thing that was going for the Redskins was Hopkins going 3 of 4 on field goals, but weren't able to get anything going, especially the fact that Alex Smith's team had a lot of dropped balls that definitely hurt them, despite the fact he went 33 of 46 for 292 yards, and the offensive line not being able to protect him, giving up 3 sacks on the day. All those factors alone. Redskins lose 21-9, and AP, not as productive week 2 as he was week 1. Let's hope that all changes. That's the week that just came up. Let's go into week 3 action on the day. Starting with last night, the New York Jets visiting the Cleveland Browns in the dog pound. The Browns looking to end a 635-day curse of not having a victory. The last time they won was in December against the then San Diego, now LA Chargers. December 24th, 2016 to be exact. And that was a nice Christmas gift at the time for them. The Jets are, yeah, I'll always like to bring up the flags. Excuse me, I need some water. Some agua fria. All right. Baker Mayfield on the day comes in. After the Jets down the Cleveland Browns 14-0, including those 2 rushing touchdowns by Isaiah Crowell, the ex-Cleveland Brown, who the Jets picked up in March on a 3-year, $12 million contract. And how does Isaiah Crowell thank the Jets? On his second touchdown of the night, he decides to wipe the football with his derriere, to say the least, because we're on a family network, and to use it as toilet paper and gives it to the crowd. You know, just as a way that he was slighted by Cleveland not re-signing him. There are other ways you can show how slighted you are by what you did before that little incident. You know, scoring touchdowns, helping your team win, having some humility. I don't know, things like that. But no humility whatsoever for him. Let's think back to a few years ago. Remember when Odell Beckham was on all fours and urinated like he was a dog? He got fined $12,000 by the league for that little stunt. If anything, Isaiah is probably going to get fined that and maybe worse. And he honestly deserves to be suspended under the personal conduct policy. They should not, It's one thing you have touchdown celebrations. It's another thing to be disparaging like that. And that was just disparaging, unprofessional, uncouth, and just stupid. Plain stupid. Don't ever do that again, Isaiah. The Jets are giving you an opportunity. Don't blow it. But speaking of blowing opportunities, the Jets did so with a 14-0 lead. Let Carlos Hyde get 2 rushing touchdowns, including the exclamation point at the end of the game, including the game winner. And Baker Mayfield, this was one of the craziest little stunts in the game right here. Hyde gets a 1-yard rushing touchdown. The Browns are down 14-12. Mayfield shifts to the left side. It's a bit of wildcat formation. Ball snapped directly to Duke Johnson, second-year running back at Miami. Gives it to Landry on reverse. Landry lofts a pass to the left side, to the left corner of the end zone, to Baker Mayfield. The game's tied at 14-all. And the reason Baker Mayfield came to the game was, unfortunately, for Tyrod Taylor, he was knocked around so many times by the Jets' offensive line that his head got scrambled, and he was not able to play. He was in the concussion protocol. So they brought in Baker Mayfield, and he brought a lot of excitement. Browns win 21-7. First win in 635 days. So the Jets became the answer to the trivia question. What team did the Browns beat after 635 days? The Jets. And there it goes. Thursday Night Football. And I called Cleveland winning this game. I know. Jet fan going against his team. Little traitors. No. I'm being objective in this. I have to be. Subjectively, of course I wanted the Jets to win. I was PO'd to see them lose this game, especially when you have a 2-touchdown lead. But at the same time, when you're playing cover 2 prevent defense and you got a rookie out there, you got to stomp on the rookie. You got to blitz like crazy. I don't understand why they didn't do that when he came onto the field. And you gave him a wide range of receivers to throw to. Too much. Defensive backs, they're in for a rude awakening when they have to go to Jacksonville next week. Let's go to the upcoming games this week. I'm going to pick them as fast as I can. New York Giants heading to the Houston Texans. This week, if I am the Giants' offensive line, you have to protect Manning. You let him get rocked 6 times this week. He barely had enough time to think, let alone make plays. Yes, Evan Ingram did get a touchdown last week. And he's a great receiving tight end, whatever you like to call him. He's a hybrid player nonetheless. Odell Beckham, we got to see him get some major opportunities this week, especially with the Honey Badger playing for Houston this year. And the Texans, coming off a disappointing 2017 loss, both teams are disappointed. They're both 0-2. Somebody will get their first win, and somebody will have that dreaded 0-3 start. And like I mentioned about Manning being protected, because reason being, you got J.J. Watt, you got Whitney Merciless, you got these guys who are looking to pounce on Manning and get him, which honestly, with the way the offensive line has worked this year, is not out of the realm of possibility. They've played 4 times against each other since Texans became an expansion team in 2002. The last 3 times, the Giants have won. This time around, that's not going to be the case. I got the Texans winning this game by at least 7 points. And the factor that came to mind was Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think the Giants' corners are going to have a good game plan of defending either one. And Deshaun Watson on the ground, he's going to rock that defensive line for 70 yards on the day. I got the Texans. Next game right here coming up. Steelers visiting Fitzmagic and the Bucks in Tampa Monday night. Boy, is there. You know how they say all the world is a stage and we are just merely players? Well, in Pittsburgh, there's so much drama. Oh, there's a lot of drama. Last week, James Connors had 18 yards rushing. He had 135 the first week. So that gives Le'Veon Bell a lot of ammo. Say, hey, guys, still want a decent, if you want a running back, I'm just saying I'm here. Still can sign me. But they're not going to, because the Steelers are an organization that doesn't allow anybody to dictate the terms of any contracts. They dictate the contracts. Well, anyway, it wasn't just that type of drama, but Antonio Brown being called out by the media and didn't like what they were reporting. So he had this really bad errant judgment, tweeting, you know what, just trade me. The fans, of course, in Pittsburgh didn't take too kindly to that, which you can't blame them. They're not exactly thrilled with Le'Veon Bell. They need to be upset with another player. But, Antonio kind of gave them a reason to for the time being. And he missed out on a meeting on Monday, came back on a Wednesday. He probably got fined by Tomlin, because Tomlin is the type of guy that doesn't take that too kindly. Anyway, they got Tampa Bay this week. You got Deshaun Jackson, who's just rocking the league with 275 yards. If I am the cornerbacks, especially Joe Hayden, that is the matchup to look for. The ex-Cleveland Brown, now Pittsburgh Steeler, Joe Hayden, this week against Deshaun Jackson. This is going to be probably the premier matchup. This will tell who will win this game. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think the magic continues. I got the Buccaneers winning this by 10 points. Next game right here, a battle, another NFC South battle, Saints, Falcons. Boy, is this going to be fun to watch. Two teams locking it up. Saints coming off a big 3-point victory after losing 48-40 week 1 to the Buccaneers, another NFC South team. So right now, this really could make a big difference in who could possibly not only be tied for first, but maybe tied for first or second in the division this week with this type of game right here. And the Saints are the better road team. Look at all the injuries the Falcons have to deal with. They just found out Andy Levitre is unfortunately hurt this week, and their left guard with triceps, and he's on injury reserve. He's done for the year. Devonta Freeman missing last week does not help, but Tevin Coleman is going to have to do a lot of the carries this week. Tarek McKinley may not even play with a groin injury. Derek Shelby has a groin injury too, and they were both injured last week against Carolina, so they could be game-time decision players. And Devon Freeman's going to be missing a second week. And you're missing out on Keanu Neal and Deion Jones, so when you think about that with this Saints defense, Cameron Jordan, I think this week is going to get a few sacks on Matt Ryan in the house that Ryan built. I got the Saints this week, and I think we're going to see a lot more Cameron Meredith. Look for him to get 2 touchdowns on the day. He's finally going to be – he's not going to be a healthy scratch. He's going to be active this week. So look for that to take place. Chargers, the Battle of L.A., the Chargers and the Rams in the Coliseum. First time ever this in a regular season matchup. Let's get ready to rumble. Though, honestly, if you think about it, yes, both teams have good receiving options. You look at the Chargers with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. But you look at the Rams when you got Cooper Kupp. We got Brandon Cook, who last week had 159 yards on 7 receptions, no touchdowns, against the Cardinals. But really, it comes down to defense. And when you have Joey Bosa missing, that hurts the Chargers at times, with that effective pass rush. Yes, you have Melvin Ingram, but him and Bosa together really create mismatch nightmares, especially for offensive coordinators to have to deal with. I got the Rams. They have everything on offense, defense, and even special teams, despite the fact that Greg Zuerlein is going to be out this week. Even without him, they still can win. Johnny Hecker last week, the punter, got a field goal. I'm just saying this team can contribute in so many ways. Yeah, Rams all day, every day. The battle of the young arms. Now 23-year-old Patrick Mahomes, happy birthday, who turned 23 on Monday. 10 touchdowns in 2 weeks, the most to start the first 2 games of a season in NFL history. Congratulations. Going up against 26-year-old Jimmy Garoppolo of the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are going to one of the loudest places, Arrowhead Stadium. There is no way you're going to win this game, buddy, in this environment right here. And the 49ers defense have to deal with Tyreek Hill, especially in open space. He's going to run zigzags over them. I got the Chiefs. This is a no-brainer right here for me. Colts. Eagles. Frank Reich, familiar name for Buffalo fans. Former offense coordinator last year with the Super Bowl winning Eagles. Now the head coach of the Colts with Andrew Luck going to Eagle Town. Eagles coming off that 27-21 loss to the Buccaneers, while the Colts have coming off that 21-9 victory in Washington. Still on the road again. On the road again. You know, Willie Nelson, great song. Andrew Luck, this season, yes, he had 2 interceptions, 179 yards last week. But the Colts have the 28th ranked pass defense. Luck can possibly take advantage of this. Look at Ryan Fitzpatrick, what he did to the Eagles last week. I'm just saying, but the Colts are not going to be able to run the ball against one of the top-ranked rushing defenses, even with Jordan Wilkins and Nyheim Hines, who had his first career rushing touchdown last week. I think the Eagles bounce back from this performance. I got the Eagles winning by 10 points. Titans, Jaguars, battle the AFC South right here. As much as I like to talk about Blaine Gabbert, who, by the way, started his career with the Jaguars years ago, now going up against his old team. You have to look at last week and what they were playing against, too. And the fact that they won on a fake punt touchdown as well. And let's also add the fact that you're going up against one of the nastiest defenses ever conceived. And with Jalen Ramsey going one-on-one with Corey Davis, Jalen won that match last year, and he's going to win it again. I just do not see the Jaguars losing this game whatsoever. 14-point victory. I got the Jaguars winning this week. Broncos, Ravens. Usually when the Broncos have to go to the East Coast, last year they were 0-4 in the Eastern time zone. Usually they leave on Fridays to get there. This time they're actually leaving tomorrow to get to Baltimore for Sunday's game. Case Keenum, though, will be able to play this week, thankfully. He had a sore knee back on the Wednesday injury report. He is playing this week. And, against the Raiders in the beginning, he had his struggles, but he came through, especially with the 1-yard keeper on 4th down in the 4th quarter. His favorite target, Emmanuel Sanders, with 14 receptions. And what about Phillip Lindsay, the rookie running back for the Broncos? 178 yards rushed in 2 games against the Ravens, who are going to be out several players. I just do not see the Ravens winning this week. Despite the fact, yes, first week they had their rave receivers, Brown, Crabtree, and Snead getting touchdowns. But week 2, giving up 3 touchdowns to A.J. Green the first half. What a pitiful performance. And you got Von Miller, who has a 4.0 sacks, leading the NFL on the day. There's no way the offensive line is going to do anything to counteract that, or Bradley Chubb, who I think Bradley's going to get 2 sacks on the day. Give me the Broncos winning this by 3. It's going to be close, though, but I still think at the end of the day, McManus gets the game-winning field goal. Bengals, Panthers. The Bengals have won by identical 34-23 scores in the first 2 weeks of the season against the Colts and the Ravens last Thursday night. Against a Panthers team that couldn't register a single sack last week against Matt Ryan. If they want to have any chance of winning, the defensive line is going to be the reason why the Panthers will actually win this week. You got Joe Mixon, their prize running back, who is out for the next 2 to 4 weeks with foot surgery, and Billy Price, the rookie center out of Ohio State, who's going to be out for the next 2 weeks with a foot injury. I think the Panthers are going to take advantage of that. They get the W. and the Bengals will get their first loss on the season. The boys heading to Seattle, the home of the 12th man. This is not an easy place to play in whatsoever. What kills me, though, about Seattle is the fact that Seattle's given up 6 sacks in the first 2 games of the year. Tyler Lockett can only do so much, as well as Russell Wilson, but the offensive line has been abysmal. Even with the 12th man, I got the Cowboys in an upset victory. Packers heading to Washington to take on the Redskins. That sore left knee at times can really hurt what Aaron Rodgers is able to do in his mobility at times. And you know the Redskins defense coordinator, Greg Minuski, has got to keep that in mind. And he's going to try to prepare for this fast-paced tempo type of Packers team this week. But with all the preparation, I still think the Packers, with Randall Cobb, I think he's going to get 2 touchdowns in the day to Randall Cobb. I got the Packs winning this one. Patriots, Lions, the teacher, Bill Belichick, versus the student, Matt Patricia. The former defense coordinator from 2012 to last year, now going up against each other for the first time as head coaches. I definitely have the Patriots rebounding. They haven't lost back-to-back games since 2015, and I don't think that streak will end this week. And here's the other thing. Josh Gordon now, he's a New England Patriot. Good luck, Bill Belichick, taming that guy. This is a guy who's been suspended more times than he's played. The only good season he had was 2013. Other than that, he's had multiple suspensions, a lot of personality clashes and issues. Let's hope that this second chance will be the chance that revives his career and that becomes that deep threat receiver that Brady so desperately needs. I got the Pats winning this one, and I think Josh Gordon will get back to basics. Raiders, Dolphins. Last year, the Raiders came in to Miami and won on a Thursday night in Week 9. That's not happening this week. The Dolphins have been playing very well on all cylinders. We all thought with the Jay trade and even Jarvis Landry trade that this was the end of the line for the Dolphins, but the way they played last week, really good pressure defense from TJ McDonald and Xavier Howard. Tannehill throwing the ball. Week 1, that 75-yard pass to Kenny Stills was just magic, and he throws it right on the money. Him and Stills really have a great thing going, and Gore bringing that veteran presence to the running back core along with Kenyon Drake. I got the Dolphins winning this by 14 points. Go with Miami right here. Then you got the Chicago Bears. The Bears. Heading to the desert, take on the Arizona Cardinals. I know it's kind of weird I talk with this Midwestern Chicago accent. I'm going to stop doing that right now. Though it makes me hungry for a deep dish pizza. Oh, I hope one day I get to go to the Windy City. It's so beautiful there, especially in winter. Anyway, they're going up to the desert, take on the Cardinals, who have had a total of 6 points in 2 weeks. Let me put 6 points in 2 weeks. The Buffalo Bills have scored more points, and they're just as terrible as they are. If the Cardinals want to win this week, stop putting Sam Bradford as your quarterback. He was 17-27 for 90 yards last week. Still, at some point, you got to put Josh Rosen, the rookie out of UCLA, into the fire. Otherwise, you know what? Lose every game if you want to do that, Steve Wilkes, and then have a short coaching career. But if you really want to have a long-term career, put Rosen in. Put my cousin in. Well, he's not really my cousin. I always like to say he's my cousin. I know, there goes the illusion. But the fact of the matter is they need to give this guy a chance. If Bradford can't even get through one play, can't get through one drive, they need to nip this in the bud, put Josh Rosen in, see what the kid is made of and what he can do. Because something tells me he could really do wonders with Larry Fitzgerald and what could be Fitzgerald's final year. You don't want to do that to Fitzgerald and have Bradford mess with possibly his last season. And here's another thing that really kills me too. If you keep Bradford in, he's just going to be target practice for Khalil Mack, who's had a heck of a start to the season. Several sacks, forced fumble, a return pick six. I mean, he is paying the Chicago Bears back in dividends for the amount of money they shelled out for him and the draft picks they had to give up to Oakland to get him. He is worth every penny and then some. I got the Bears winning this embarrassingly by 20 points. Unless if Josh Rosen comes in, then I would say like still 14 points, but still going to be double digits. Let's see how bad it gets. Speaking of bad, the Buffalo Bills are heading to the Minnesota Vikings to take on the Purple People Eaters. And the craziest line on the game, 16.5 favored for the Vikings. There hasn't been that type of favoring in betting lines since 2014. And usually teams, since 2011, only 4 teams have had double-digit favorings and have covered the spread. 4-0 have covered the spread. But getting back to the game itself, the Bills and the Vikings, it's night and day. You're comparing filet mignon, which is the Vikings, to rump roast, which is the Bills. Right there alone, that should tell you that the Vikings are definitely not going to lose this game. I know people are going to say, don't look past the Bills. This could be a trap game. The only trap I see is being laid for Josh Allen, who's going to get smacked around several times by Everson Griffin and the rest of that defensive line, and he probably will make a mistake and throw a pick to Harrison Smith. And the fact that LaShawn McCoy is still questionable for this game with a rib there's no way he's going to play with that rib injury he sustained last week. The Bills are going to get destroyed, hammered, killed. And let's not forget, they're thin at cornerback. And when you got guys like Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs who had over 100 yards each last week, I shudder to think what they're going to do this week. Kirk Cousins, it's not going to be funny. I think he could have 5 touchdowns on the day. I got the Vikings win this. It's embarrassing to see the Bills play like this. Right now, it's either going to be them or the Cardinals at this point that could get the number 1 overall pick in the 2019 draft. And Justin Herbert could be, I think if it's the Bills, it'll probably be Justin Herbert if they get the number 1 pick. Sorry. Yeah, the guy out of Oregon. Anyway, those are my picks, and that's it for this week in terms of picks. But here in the weekly playbook, for all you people out there that want to see some good Shakespearean theater, that you saw in Hamlet, you're going to see that again with another weekend of Measure for Measure. That's right. My people at the Staten Island Shakespeare Company have the final 2 performances of Measure for Measure, which we had such a great crowd last week. Another great crowd in store for this week. And I'm just so excited. But if you want to see this show, go to showclicks.com and get your tickets. And just be sure to bring your own seats because there could be limited seating. It's going to take place at Fort Tompkins inside Fort Wadsworth. A great cast and crew of people. And just overall, I'm so thankful to them, with our director, Frank Williams, our assistant director, Kara Leanda, our stage manager, Amy Paleo, and such a great cast rounded out by Frank and Dan Duffy, Armand Lane, Lauren Grimm, Rena Sklar, Jack DeBalb, Stephen Scott, and Nikki Dos Santos, and so on. Like every person in this cast really brings such a great element to this play. Measure for Measure. Definitely go see it. Both performances Saturday and Sunday will be at 4:00. And congratulations to CVU for their 2-week run on Hamlet. What a wonderful performance by Amanda Rose Benjamin and the Victoria Gull, and the entire cast was just outstanding. There's so many shows coming up in a few weeks. Hemlock will be doing Next to Normal, a great American Broadway play. So for all the hardworking men and women at CTV, for Mr. Kenneth Graham behind the booth, and for Jamie Hickson helping me out earlier with the setup, I want to thank you, the audience, for watching. Come back next week for another episode of the Blitz Zone here on CTV. Good night, Staten Island. Peace and love.